you ready for a rapid fire episode of Wild Pitch today, Nick?
Ooh, rapid fire. How
Rapid
exciting.
fire. Did you, first off, before we get into anything Medicare, because there's only so much Medicare I can talk in one day, did you see Mike Lorenzen pitch a freaking no-hitter in his start?
Okay, so I saw that it happened, but I did not watch it happen. I know. I was very upset. I live in the Philadelphia area. I don't live in Philadelphia. For anybody who's in Philadelphia, I don't live in Philadelphia, but I live in the Philadelphia area. I didn't grow up here though. I'm a Dodgers fan. I grew up watching the Dodgers. I still watch the Dodgers. I frequently they play until like 1 o'clock in the morning where I live, so I mostly fall asleep watching the Dodgers these days because I'm old. But I pay attention to the Dodgers. But it was all anybody could talk about the day after.
Absolutely great.
Nobody was talking about anything else.
Everything else becomes a little less important for the day after something that happens maybe once a decade.
Yeah. It was really impressive. And somebody that I know actually was at that game on their birthday, which is like, what a great birthday present. Go see a Phillies game, and it's just an amazing, spectacular, historic game.
Not to mention, Weston Wilson hit a home run. First major league at bat. It's like walking into your first final expense appointment and closing a $200 a month senior life, I can say that name, replacement in the home. Absolutely great feeling, I'm sure, for both of those guys that day. Today's rapid fire episode that we're going to shoot in 9 minutes and 26 seconds is the biggest mistakes you might have made, you've seen an agent make, and if we have time, the value of relationships in the business. Ready?
Ooh, okay. Biggest mistakes. One, because a person is dual eligible, they didn't check their meds and enrolled them on, and this was not me, but enrolled them into a plan that did not actually cover all of their meds because they were like, they're dual eligible. What do I care? Don't do that. Check people's meds. If they end up with like 4 or 5 drugs that are off formulary, especially if they're on Medicaid, they're not going to be able to pay the $600 for their Eliquis that's not on formulary. Don't do that. Other big mistakes. They show up and they don't check appropriately to see if there are any special election periods. I have an agent that started working with me that when he started working with me, he was like, man, I would really like to write more Medicare, but it really doesn't seem possible to write Medicare outside of AEP. And I'm like going really hard during AEP, but then like my book of business never gets that big because I can only write so much during AEP, and then some of it falls off during the year. And I don't know what they're doing, why it's falling off during the year, but like there isn't really a lot of business to be written outside of AEP. And I was like, damn it, man, you should be writing business all year long. Here's a list of all the special election periods. And he's got a 5-star plan. He didn't even know. Like there's all sort like, so yeah, like look for special election periods. Didn't
we get an SEP because the highway collapsed?
Yes.
How is that even a thing?
I don't understand it, but it works.
We got an SAP because it rained like that. There's like an ongoing tornado SAP in Mississippi. Those emails are valuable sometimes.
Check to know all of the special election periods that are available, which piggybacks into this one. So many agents don't understand the difference between extra help and Medicaid. Medicaid and extra help are not the same thing. Just because a person's getting extra help doesn't mean they qualify for a dual plan. And if you try to apply for them for a dual plan because they're getting extra help and they don't actually like qualify for a dual plan, that's going to get rejected. And then you're going to be confused because you didn't understand the difference between extra help and Medicaid. Also, extra help does not pay your Medicare Part B. It does not. Just because you qualify for extra help does not mean that the person that you're talking to is going to have their Medicare Part B paid for and therefore should not get a give back plan. In fact, if a person is getting extra help and is not getting Part B paid for, a give back plan would probably be very helpful for them. They don't make a lot of money. They would probably like the $164 back, or at least a portion of it.
Yeah.
understanding those little things, and I get it when you're new. Like there's so much that's coming at you, and it's coming at you so fast, and there's all of these letters. Like I intentionally, while we were talking right there, did not use any letters except for SEP. And even that is maybe too much. Special enrollment period. Like, but you know, QMB, SLMB, FBDE, LIS, LIS level 1, LIS level 2,
URS. I'm overwhelmed by it.
Yeah, it's a lot. So here's the next mistake that people make. Because it's a lot, people do nothing. And they say, I'm going to screw people up. I don't understand it. I'm going to screw people up. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to avoid it and walk away. The reality is, you will never learn to understand Medicare if you don't go out and try to talk to people about Medicare. It is the only way you will ever actually understand.
I think that's transferable into literally all parts of adulthood. You're not going to learn final expense if you don't go out and try to talk to people about dying.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to figure out basic workout routines at the gym if you don't try them. All of that whole concept is like $1 million kind of concept. People are afraid to do things when they get overwhelmed with things. Don't overwhelm your clients. You're afraid to do things because you're overwhelmed with things. Just go do them. And the more you do it, the more it'll make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And so like there's an agent that I'm working with right now who this is going to be technically his second AEP, but the first AEP he did AHIP like in the middle of AEP when it's sort of like this is going to be his first AEP really. But for most of the year he was just kind of like, I'm a little bit afraid to do stuff. I don't want to screw up other deals that I have with this person in the house. I don't want to I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to do harm. I totally get all of that. So we had a conversation like at the beginning of June, being like, hey, so like what's going on? I gave him some tools so that he doesn't have to make split-second decisions. With Medicare, you never need to close them on a one-call close. You will always be able to go back a second time, collect their information, do some research, go back. With the new 48-hour scope of appointment rule, it's almost mandatory. Collect their information, do some research, come back. You'll always be okay. They will always let you back in. They always want to talk to you about your Medicare, about their Medicare. Unless you are personally repellent. Like, don't be a terrible salesperson. So he started sending me the information that he collected, and we would go over it together. And we did this like 3 or 4 times, and he was like, oh, okay, I'm starting to get it. And he would go back and he would present and he would close them. And then after about 3 months, he came to me and he was like, oh, hey, so I thought I understood the difference between extra help and Medicaid, but it turns out I don't. And I was like, yeah, no, this is 3 months in. This is a good time to be talking about this because you can kind of hear the information, but until you start working with people and seeing how it functions, none of it means anything. There's nothing for it to hang on to. So that was the point when we started talking about the difference between extra help and Medicaid and kind of how they work and what the different programs do and what the different LIS levels are and what the different MSP levels are and what's an MSP and how's it different than Medicaid. And like at some point you need to know these things, but you don't need to know these things to get started. And waiting until you know everything to get started is just going to prevent you from ever knowing what you need to know.
Yeah, even a physician doesn't know everything about everything when they become a doctor.
No.
They go to residency, they go to a fellowship program, and then there's still a new doctor, and they're like, oh, look at that. That's actually a heart. I've never seen it do that before. Interesting.
Right. So like, this is part of the thing, right? So you learn and you get better by doing.
We got 60 seconds on the clock. We're in rapid fire mode. Are you ready for a 30-second hot take?
Yes.
people are abusing, like physically abusing SEPs, and it's actually a problem. Agree or disagree?
I disagree.
There we go.
Done.
There we go.
No, I mean, like, how is this a problem? Like, it is a problem if you think that the lockout period is ultimately a good thing in some way for consumers. If you think that consumers not being able to change into a more advantageous plan is like, if you think that them being stuck in their plan until October 15th and then really until January 1st, like, if you think that's a good thing, yeah, it's a problem. SEPs are terrible if that's the case. But if there is something out there that would improve one of your clients' lives, then no, that's not a problem. Now, what is a problem is people having their plans flipped without necessarily realizing that that's what they're doing, and being told that they can keep both plans, and not necessarily knowing that they were changing their plans because it's a verbal signature, and all they really did was give up their Medicare number, and they didn't really realize that somebody was going to do anything with that Medicare number. And like, there are problems. Like, don't get me wrong, like, there's definitely problems, but special SEPs aren't one of them.
They're like, special.
Yeah, like,
it's special.
You should use the SEPs if it's available. You should use it if always it's in the best interest of your client.
Of course.
As long as you're doing what's in the best interest of your client, you're always okay.
It's like the life insurance equivalent of people saying you shouldn't upgrade someone's policy because of contestability. Well, I'm getting them significantly better coverage. Why would I?
Yeah, it's even worse. It's worse than that, because that's actually a bigger deal than somebody than the special enrollment period thing.
True.
Like it would be like somebody was written a clean sheeted life insurance policy that answered health questions incorrectly, and it got issued anyway, and was 9 months into the contestability period, and somebody saying, we shouldn't get you a properly underwritten policy that's actually going to potentially pay if you die during contestability.
There you go.
Like, I mean, it's like, just do the best thing for your client. You'll always be okay.
Just do the right thing. Like, don't egregiously make mistakes. Work hard. You'll get better at it as you go. SCPs are okay. That's why they're special. And by watching this video, you're special to us as well. Make sure you like the video, comment below, subscribe to the channel. Hey, maybe even share it out in a few of those groups out there who are terrified of SEPs and afraid that you're abusing them. Appreciate you guys watching today. Again, like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll bring more content to you each Friday.